If rejection still gets inside your head, it's not because you're bad at dating. It's because you were trained to aim at the wrong target. Most men were conditioned to treat rejection like failure, like a verdict, like proof something's wrong with them. And once that idea settles in, everything changes. You stop acting naturally. You start monitoring every word. You try to get things right instead of letting them unfold. That's where the real damage happens because rejection itself isn't necessarily the isn't necessarily why it's heavy. The weight comes from meaning the geez, I'm messing this all up. The weight comes from the meaning you attach to it. Two men can hear the exact same no. One shrugs and moves on. The other replays it for weeks. Same moment, very different internal response. And that internal response determines everything. Here's what most guys never see. The harder you try to avoid rejection, the more control it has over you. You hesitate instead of acting. You soften instead of showing intent. You wait for certainty that never shows up. And without noticing it, you train yourself to play defense. Dating starts to feel tense. Conversations feel stiff. You're thinking instead of experiencing. People feel that instantly. Not because you said the wrong thing, but because your attention was on approval instead of presence. And that's the trap. When your goal is to be chosen, every interaction feels like a test. Every pause feels loaded. Every response feels like something you have to manage. You're not connecting, you're trying to control outcomes. And that kills momentum. So here's the pivot we're making today. Rejection isn't something to prevent. It's something to use, not emotionally, but practically. Rejection is information about timing, energy, and direction. Nothing more, nothing less. When you treat it that way, something changes fast. You stop personalizing outcomes. You stop relying on single interaction. You stop needing things to go your way. And when that attachment drops, your behavior adjusts on its own. You loosen up. You move quicker. You respond instead of overthinking. That's where confidence actually comes from. Not positive thinking, not self-talk, exposure. Today, we're breaking dating down to its most functional core, keeping things enjoyable instead of impressive, making intent obvious instead of hinted, recognizing tests as checkpoints rather than threats. You'll see why men who improve the fastest aren't braver, they're less invested in control. They show up curious instead of cautious, present instead of calculating. And because of that, rejection stops feeling personal. It starts feeling like reps. By the end of this, rejection won't feel like something to fear. It'll feel like a tool. And once that clicks, dating stops being stressful. It stops being complicated. It gets straightforward. So stay with me. We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. Woo! Happy hump day, you savages. Man, that intro was tough. I was having a challenge getting through that without flubbing that up, and I failed miserably, guys. I clearly need more coffee this morning. It's going to be one of those days. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Today, we're talking about how we can transmute rejection into our superpower today. And one of the first things I want to start off with is by letting everyone know out there that no one's batting 1,000. No one, not a single person out there when it comes to approaching women, talking with women, getting phone numbers from women, all that kind of stuff. No one's batting 1,000. Give me the best pickup artist in the world, and they are not getting every single number 100% of the time. They're getting rejected a lot. Okay. What makes them, like guys like, say, Troy Francis, right? Troy Francis, if you guys don't know, he's one of the world's best pickup artists and dating coaches that I know. He used to be on Rule Zero with me. I actually went out to England a couple of years ago with Nurse Chick, and we had some beers with him at the 10 Bells in London, and it was really cool. And so, I know some of these types of guys. I'm not a pickup artist. I never have been, right? But I do help guys level up and get better with women. But I do know some pickup artists. And the thing is what separates them from the average guy is that they're not afraid of rejection. Right? They will approach a chick. If she's not interested, no problem, move on to the next chick. Right? But they're not getting every single number. And of the numbers that they're getting, they're not getting, dates and hookups and all that kind of stuff. Okay. They're not batting 1,000. I'm telling you that right now. A good book for you guys to read on this subject would be The Game, right? By Neil Strauss, which is all about pickup artists. And you find that the pickup artists from the early 2000s, one, they weren't batting 1,000, but two, they were also targeting specific types of women that looked like they would be more susceptible to the bullshit that these guys were laying down. We're not at the 8-minute mark. Guys, do send super chats. I probably demonetized myself already. So I want to put that out there right away. Okay. So if you're a guy that's, you do have like approach anxiety, you do have fear of rejection, even the best of the best get rejected. Okay. So don't let that dissuade you from trying. Okay. But let's talk about why rejection feels heavier than it actually is. Most men aren't necessarily reacting to the rejection itself. They're reacting to the story that they're attaching to it. Okay. Let me say that again. Most guys, it's not the rejection itself. It's the story that they tell themselves about it. Right. And it's a lot of it's because guys, when they're going up and approaching a woman, they're looking for they have an attachment to a specific outcome, right? I got to get this girl's number or I ain't nothing, right? Right? Or if I go to get this girl's number and she shoots me down, there's something wrong with me, right? So they're attached to a specific outcome, and when they don't get it, they end up beating themselves up about it. It creates a lot of anxiety. So a lot of guys just won't even do it, right? Like they will talk themselves out of talking to a girl as a buffer for that rejection, right? Instead of getting rejected, I'm just not even going to try. It's better than getting rejected. But the thing is that rejection is always better than regret, because when you don't approach a chick, then you beat yourself up for not approaching the chick and for being a wuss, don't you? Right? At least when you go up to a girl and you try to get her number and she says, I got a boyfriend or whatever nonsense, at least at least you gave it a shot and you actually feel better having had the balls to go up and do it, right? It's amazing when you at least try to approach a girl, even if it doesn't work out, you still feel good because you push through that fear of rejection, that approach anxiety, you push through it, right? But one thing that you guys need to, in order to become better daters anyway, and we're going to be doing a lot of reframing today. It's an NLP tool where you just look at things from a different point of view, and that actually helps you think about things more positively, right? But one thing we're also going to do today is we're going to let go of any kind of attachment to outcome when talking with women. Right? If something happens, great. If something doesn't happen, great. Okay. We're letting go all of attachment. Right now, I'm not a Buddhist, but Buddha hundreds of years ago taught us that the key to all human suffering is attachment. Okay. And I'm not talking about attachment styles and all that kind of bullshit. Okay. I'm talking about expecting an outcome and then putting a story around that. And then when that doesn't happen, it crushes you. Okay. That's what we mean by attachment. And so when you let go of attachment to things, you find that they don't affect you as badly. Right. So that's what we're going to be doing today to help transmute our fear of rejection into our superpower. By the way, guys, I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Do hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because apparently just subscribing don't mean crap. And even, I found on YouTube, like, everyone gets the notification bell, and like still people don't know that I'm on. It's weird. I don't know what to tell you guys. So mark your goddamn calendars and set a notification on your goddamn calendar that I go live at 10 a.m. Eastern time every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. Because clearly the algorithm hates me. All right. So let's talk about the hidden cost of trying to avoid rejection. So you're going to be a MGTOW guy now. You're going to just say, you know what? The juice isn't worth the squeeze because I'm scared of rejection. Largely, a lot of the guys in the MGTOW space or that are self-proclaimed incels, it's not that they couldn't, right? And it's not even that they wouldn't enjoy the company of women. It's one big buffer from rejection. I'm too afraid to approach women, so why even try, right? Well, there's some hidden costs of trying to avoid that rejection, right? It trains you to be hesitant in lots of areas of your life, not just with women. You know what I mean? Like, you could be going for that job promotion, but you're afraid of your boss turning you down. So you forget, you don't even ask. You don't even ask for that raise. You know what I mean? You don't ask for that next level to improve your career. You're afraid of that shit, right? That shows up in other areas of your life. It's one of the reasons why at the beginning of the show, I say I help men level up and get better with women, because the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. If you can get over the fear of walking up and asking a woman for something as insignificant as a phone number, you're going to have the balls and the gumption to be able to ask your boss for a raise. You see what I'm saying? Like, this, getting good at this helps you in all areas. And there's a reason why women are like, they get the same kind of buzz from a guy that confidently approaches them and boldly starts talking to them. It's because a guy that can do that can go and get more money. You know what I mean? Like, all the characteristics that make men attractive to women tends to make them better in all areas, right? Guys that are avoiding rejection, they tend to overthink. They tend to have ruminating brain. They tend to, really overthink stuff and overanalyze stuff. And instead of acting, they get lost in this analysis paralysis, and then they end up not doing anything, right? That's why when it comes to approaching women, it's good to have a 3-second rule, right? Which means if you see a girl and you have the inclination to walk up and talk to her, you have 3 seconds to do it. And you walk up and just say something. You don't even need a cool pickup line. Just walk up and say hi, right? You have 3 seconds to do that. Otherwise, if you take any longer than that, you're going to talk yourself out of it, right? And then you're going to be kicking yourself for not making a move. And oh shit, she left. Ah, crap. Damn it. I should have done it, right? I should have, coulda, shoulda, woulda. And then you beat yourself up over that, right? And then let's say you do finally get the balls to get a girl's number, and you maybe get a girl out on a date. Maybe you did it through a dating app, right? Maybe you don't have the gumption to walk up and ask a girl for a number on the street, but at least you're on a dating app, right? Dating apps are also a buffer from rejection if you think about it. But to me, I don't like shitting on dating apps. I think dating apps are great if you know how to use them. But once you get on that date, then once you're with that woman, you're going to be doing all this approval seeking shit, trying to qualify yourself to her to get into her good graces so that she doesn't possibly reject you further, right? Because just because you went on a date with a girl doesn't mean it's going anywhere. In fact, most first dates don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? So then you start doing this approval seeking shit and you start doing all this qualification stuff and bragging about yourself and all this kind of stuff. And it tends to lead to even more rejection, right? And it makes dating even harder. So what I want you guys to do in order to transform rejection into our superpower is we want to reframe dating and approach and stuff like that all as one big science experiment. We're not looking to make anything happen. We're just looking for data and feedback. Okay. If you guys can start looking at dating and getting numbers and all that kind of stuff from this point of view, from the frame of it's just one big science experiment, what you'll find is that you're going to have less attachment to the outcome, right? Because if something happens, great. If something doesn't happen, great, right? You're just collecting data. Did I get this girl's number? Yes. Did I get this girl's number? No, right? There was this guy, he was on the podcast a couple of years ago. He totally blew up on TikTok. He had started and he was following me, and then just like overnight ended up just blew up. Like every one of his videos went viral, and it was because I casually mentioned to him that one of the biggest trends at that time was talking about narcissists, right? Hey, I was like, you know what? If you talk about narcissism, you're going to go viral. And he goes, okay. So he did a TikTok on recognizing a narcissist or some shit, and immediately million views. And so then he just doubled down on that. And every single video for like months was just on understanding narcissists and how to deal with narcissists and all this kind of shit. His channel totally blew up. He's got like, I don't know, he's probably got 500,000 followers on TikTok now. But one of the things that was his sort of, claim to expertise, which I don't dispute. And by the way, it was Eric Explains, I think is the name of his YouTube channel. And he was on the podcast a couple times, but he when he went out dating, right? I think he grew up in sort of a religious environment. He got married and, just like didn't have much dating experiments, and then, got married. That fell apart, and he found himself in the red pill space and decided to become a total Chad, right? So he ended up going on tons of dates, becoming a fuckboy, and then he kept a spreadsheet. He kept a spreadsheet of like everything that he did. Like I tried this pickup technique. I tried this. I did this on a date, and he literally collected data like a Spurg, right? I'm not saying you have to do that, but as long as you at least view dating like a science experiment where, like, let's say you find your holy trinity of dating books, right? Like I did. This was my dating experiment when I had to get better at dating. When I discovered the quasi red pill space, right? I found my holy trinity of dating books that I just listened to on repeat, and then little pieces out of those books, I would test them out. Does this work? Does this work for me? And I would just do that and collect data, and I had fun with it, right? As soon as I stopped looking at it like I'm trying to make something happen, I got to get laid, I got to get a girlfriend, I got it, whatever. And I just looked at like, I'm having fun. I'm just testing this stuff out and seeing what works and what doesn't. Like I found certain things from Corey Wayne's book didn't work as well as things from Dr. Glover's book. And certain things from Dr. Glover's book didn't work as well as Christopher Canwell's book, right? And I just took what was useful to me and kept the useful stuff, and I got rid of what wasn't useful. That's literally red pill right there. Red pill is not about holding women accountable. Red pill is not about, hating women or anything like that. It's taking what's useful and leaving what's not. That's why it's a praxeology. Okay. So that's what I was doing. And then I was also at the time in a men's group called the 3% Man Group, and I was swapping notes with other guys. So I would go on there and I put a dating update, right? If you follow Ryan Stone, he calls them field reports. It's literally the same thing, right? But I'd post in the group and I'd say, okay, I went on a date with this girl and this is how it went. And I'd let her do 80% of the talking, and I practiced open body language and, all this kind of stuff. And I'd talk about what worked well and what didn't. And I was like, I found this from, Christopher Canwell's work or book worked better for me, and X, Y, and Z. And I would post this kind of stuff constantly in the group, right? But all that kind of stuff made it more fun for me. It allowed me to get better at it. It allowed me to, just really hone things down. And when you let go of all attachment, it doesn't matter what happens, right? A lot of guys get really frustrated when girls ghost them. They get frustrated when girls don't give them their number. They want to tell these women off. They get frustrated when chicks show up as catfish dates, all this kind of stuff. When you let go of all attachment and just have fun with the whole experiment, the whole thing becomes one big fun exercise. Even when like the catfish show up, right? When the catfish show up, it's like, oh, okay, cool. This is going to be a practice date. Sweet. Right? It's over after one drink. Like, you just got to reframe this stuff so that you don't hate it as much, right? Because a lot of guys, for a vast majority of you guys, this is why if you ever read The Rational Male, right, by Rollo Tomassi, if you ever read that, he refers to these guys as average frustrated chumps, right? Corey Wayne refers to these guys as, the 90% of guys out there that suck with women. Right? It's the guy who's new to this, who hates dating. It's because they're looking at it from the wrong point of view, and they're trying to make things happen, and they have an attachment to an outcome. Right? When you let go of all that stuff and just have fun with it, it completely changes the game. Okay. So, guys, let me ask you this. When you get shot down, do you just move on? Do you say, it's her loss or whatever and just move on? Or do you replay it later in your head and just keep ruminating over it? Like, fuck, I fucked that up. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Like, what do? Do you beat yourself up or do you move on? Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay. If you guys are listening on Spotify, drop a comment on Spotify. That helps the show. I've been getting a lot of comments on Spotify lately. So Spotify listeners, I appreciate you guys. Don't be strangers out there. Leave a comment, okay? Now, things change when your goal stops being to qualify to these women and stop seeking approval from these women, right? One of the biggest game changers for me when it came to talking to women, just, at the supermarket, getting phone numbers, hitting women up on dating apps, all that kind of stuff. Being on a date itself. Okay. What was a big game changer for me was turning the tables, where it was like, I'm trying to see if I like her or not I'm trying to make her like me. Okay. Most of you guys out there are trying to make these girls like you. Instead, you're already likable. Why should I hang out with you? Okay. When you change that frame, it becomes, all the pressure gets taken off you. It's now all the pressure's on her. Think about a job interview. Okay. When you go to a job interview, if you are the guy looking for a job, most of the times the people looking for a job are the nervous ones, right? They're nervous. They're hoping these people like them so that they get hired for a job, right? But when you are the hiring manager, which I've been on both sides of the table, right? I've been a hiring manager. I was a IT director for years until I retired last year, right? When you're the guy that's hiring, you're not nervous, like you sort of hope that these guys are good candidates because you get a lot of people wasting your time as candidates, right? But you're actually hoping for some good candidates, but otherwise, this is the job. This is what we're looking for. What do you have, right? Do you have the skills I need? When you have that, all the pressure's off you because you're the hiring manager. So you need to be the hiring manager when it comes to dating. And she's applying for the job of girlfriend or plate or whatever it is that your goals are, right? She's applying for the job. Do you even like her or not? That's why a lot of guys are trying to get hookups on first dates. They're trying to, oh, no first dates. Just come over to my house and hook up. Like, okay, if that's your goal, right? But for me, first dates were chemistry tests. I just wanted to see if I liked her or not. So it was always drinks only in the evening. You know what I mean? And so it was like, okay, meet me at 7 p.m. because I'm not buying you dinner. We're having drinks. And if I don't like you, it's over after one drink and I'm not wasting a shitload of my money. Right. And then if things are going well, I would have a backup place, like a secondary location where I'd say, hey, let's get out of this place. Let's go play some pool or whatever. And you walk down the street and, and give her that 2 dates in 1 experience, because women will sleep with you by the second or third date on average. So if you take them to 2 dates in one place, it feels to them like you've been on 2 dates already. It speeds that process up, right? It's like magic. But if I didn't like her, I'm not taking her to the second venue. I'm not wasting my time. Okay. So, hey, you know what? Hey, it was good meeting you. Thanks for everything. I got an early morning, best of luck in your dating. And then I'd move on. Right. But when you change your viewpoint to you're the buyer, she's the seller, it completely changes the game for you. You become more relaxed. You're not like, she's not rejecting you. Right. She's like, if she leaves, oh, it was her loss anyway, because I'm the hiring manager. You know what I mean? It's a totally different viewpoint. So I would invite you guys to reframe dating to be more like that. You're the buyer, not the seller, right? You're the hiring manager, not the applicant. Okay. And then also a big thing too that will change the game when it comes to dating and stuff like that is just realize that you only have a couple of things that you're doing. Okay. Let's say that you do get a girl to go out and to date with you. Your only job, right, besides seeing if you like her or not, and that's a part of testing for interest, which we'll get to, is facilitate fun and fuck. The 3 F's. Okay. So that's really it. As long as you realize that's my only job is to have fun out here and facilitate that fun activity, right? And you don't have to break the bank to do this kind of shit, right? Facilitate fun and then fuck. Okay. So that's it. That's your only job. When you realize that, you're not trying to make her your girlfriend. You're not trying to, marry this chick or whatever. You're just having fun. And then, one thing leads to another, right? Rejection. The thing is, like, rejection doesn't only happen when you're asking women out on a date, right? It happens when you get her back to your place, right? You might go to ask her to come back to your place and she might not want to go back to your place just yet, right? So being cool with that. That's a part of, hey, well, at least I had a good time tonight, right? Facilitate fun. But the thing is, this is why, and then also sometimes you'll get chicks back to your place and you aren't able to close the deal. There was a time where I had a chick back at my place. This is why, understanding that women will sleep with you by the second or third date on average is important. It gives you a 3-date rule where if it's not happening by the third date, just cut your losses and move on to the next chick. You're going to be more efficient with dating that way. It also gives them, some plausible deniability, because women don't want to feel like slutty sleuths. And so if you allow them to have that fantasy in their mind that they didn't give it up right away, then they don't feel so slutty, and everyone wins. Okay, everyone wins, right? So I had this chick back at my place by the second date, but one of the things that I did wrong was I always sit on the one side of my couch. I always sit on the one side of my couch, and she when she came over, she sat on the far end of the couch, and so I chose comfort over closing the deal. What I should have done is sat in the middle seat and closer to her for some Kino escalation. That didn't happen, right? And so next thing we know, we're like across from the couch from each other and having this chit chat conversation. And like I wasn't able to properly Kino escalate to make that happen. And she ended up going, well, it's getting late, I need to leave. All right. A lot of times if you don't make a move on a chick, she thinks that you don't like her. And so they'll cut their losses too. Right. So anyway, she left. And I remember putting a date update in the 3% man group about it. And I realized, like, this is why putting date updates and doing field reports is so important, so that you can play back the date in more of a scientific manner, right? Where you've collected data, you're not beating yourself up. You're like, oh, I could have done this better going forward, right? So you take notes, not for the other guys in the group necessarily, although other guys in the group get value from that. It's so that you can sort of journal what works and what didn't, right? Well, I realized sitting across from her on the other side of the couch didn't work. So on the third date, I got her back to my place. I didn't do that time because I knew better from the previous time. And so I sat closer to her, and then your boy got lucky. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so rejection doesn't only happen when you're asking a girl for a number. It can happen throughout the dating process. So you've got to let go of that attachment to outcome and just realize that your only job is to facilitate fun and fuck, right? And so as long as you can do that, you let go of that kind of attachment to any kind of outcome, even when things don't necessarily happen on that night, just be like, well, all right, well, that was date 2. We have one more date to try this out. If it doesn't work then, all right, well, move on to the next chick. No big deal, right? Like, who cares, right? There's always another woman. You gotta look at it that way too, and have this abundance mindset when it comes to women. There's always another woman. As Corey Wayne says, there's another bus every 15 minutes. By the way, guys, I have a hold on. Which one is it? Is it this one? Is it this one? This one. I have a book. The first book I wrote, I broke down all this kind of stuff. I literally took the best of the Holy Trinity, right? Corey's work, Christopher Canwell, Dr. Robert Glover, all the stuff I learned from Royce, all the stuff I learned from like the red pill space, being on Rule 0 and all that kind of stuff. And I distilled it all down to a fucking science on how to get better at dating. So if you guys are on the dating circuit right now and you are struggling, get everything I wish I knew when I was 18.
Tired of wasting time on dead-end dates and attracting the wrong women? You put in the effort, but end up with dates that go nowhere, or relationships that fizzle out before they even start. You're tired of it. Dating shouldn't feel like a never-ending chore. And you know deep down that you're capable of attracting a woman who sees your value. The problem? You haven't been taught how to attract the right women and keep them. What if you could date efficiently, quickly filtering out the women who aren't right for you, and instead attract high-quality women who are genuinely interested? What if, when you found the right one, you knew exactly how to maintain that attraction for the long haul? With everything I wish I knew when I was 18, you'll learn exactly how to master the dating game, how to identify and attract high-quality women, how to weed out the ones wasting your time, and how to keep that attraction burning in a long-term relationship. This isn't about playing games. It's about developing the confidence and mindset to naturally draw the right women to you, while keeping the spark alive for years to come. Don't waste another day chasing the wrong women. Grab your copy of Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18 and start mastering the art of efficient dating. Find the right woman and keep her.
If she's worth keeping, I guess. Anyway, we got some guys in the chat here. We got a lot of people watching, but not a whole lot of people running their mouths in the chat. What's going on, guys? You guys need to wake up this morning too, like me. I'm still struggling here. Eric Von Erich says, good morning. Nurse Chick's in the house. Nurse Chick, she says, good morning, gentlemen. Happy hump day.
I'm so naughty.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna come.
Yep.
That pussy must be ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, guys. That's a fact. Brother John's in the house. He says, good morning, y'all. He says, I used to get upset at rejection. Now it's usually humorous. You know what's funny about that is I don't know if I ever really got too upset at rejection, but yeah, a lot of guys do. A lot of guys do get really upset with rejection. A lot of guys can't handle that shit. They take it as a personal attack. And so a lot of women, they won't be straight up with you when they're not interested, right? They'll give you some kind of, wishy-washy bullshit excuse. And because a lot of guys fucking yell at them and call, oh, what, I'm not good enough for you. Fuck you, bitch. And I'm holding her accountable. And you're not helping the situation by losing your shit at that sort of thing. Like being able to handle rejection, it shows up in all other areas of dating, right? Like women can tell when a guy is confident and sure of himself and like rejection doesn't faze him. Like that kind of stuff is attractive and it carries through your other interactions with women, right? But yeah, he goes, what did he say here? Hold on. He said it twice. He said, I used to get upset at rejection. Now it's usually humorous. Frame is everything. Yeah. And so like, it's funny. If you guys ever watch, I think one of the best examples of a good way to handle rejection is, if you ever watch, it's the worst one, right? But if you ever watch Die Another Day, it's a James Bond movie. It's the worst Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie. It's the one with Madonna in it, right? There's a scene where they're at the ice fucking palace or whatever, the ice hotel, and Bond's hitting on Miranda Frost, and he says something to her like, hey, maybe I can have the I don't know, the pleasure of your company tonight or something. And she's like, you'll never have that pleasure. And Bond just goes, oof, right? Like just like that. Just that's how he handled it, moved on, and ended up banging Halle Berry. You know what I mean? Like that's how you got to be. Like, oof, ouch. You know what I mean? And just think it's funny. Which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Physical intent removes ambiguity. One of the big things that you'll find too on a dating circuit is when you're out dating, you need to test a girl's interest level in you, right? You only want to be going out with women that want to go out with you, right? David D'Angelo used to say, choose a woman who chooses you. Dr. Glover says, walk through open doors. You know what I mean? Stop banging on closed doors. And that's the thing is a lot of guys are really banging on closed doors, trying to make women like them that don't really like them that much, right? If you cut those bitches loose, the women that don't like you that much, and spend more time with the women that enjoy your company, you're going to have a much better time on the dating circuit, right? So one of the things that I realized after breaking up with Red Pill Chick was when I was out dating after my divorce, this was before Red Pill Chick, when I was out dating after my divorce, I was like waiting for a written invitation to make moves on chicks, right? Like I would not just go in for a kiss. The Me Too movement was, you know, all the rage. And I was afraid of screwing something up by just going for a kiss, right? So I was waiting for women to make the first move. And so I just floundered on the dating circuit for a whole year. Thing is that women are super passive, right? Women are expecting men to make all the moves. And so, you know, the only reason why I even got into a relationship with Red Pill Chick was because she was super forward. You know, that's a nice way of saying she was kind of a sleut, but God bless sleuths. You know what I mean? Anyway, after that, like the first date I went on after Red Pill Chick was this really attractive chick from Montrose, and we met up for coffee. This was before I realized that coffee dates aren't necessarily the best thing in the world, although I did meet Nurse Chick on a coffee date, but that's for another story. So I met this chick for a coffee, and then we sat around and talked for, you know, like an hour or something, and then it was like, okay, well, we got to get going. So I walked her around the building to her car, and then I went in for a hug like a puss, right? Like a total pussy, went in for a hug. And on the way home, she texted me saying, you know, I'm really disappointed that you didn't try to kiss me. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't see any obvious written invitation signs that said she wanted to be kissed. So I didn't kiss, right? And I'm sure most of you guys have, or a lot of you guys have had that experience, right? And so after that moment, I just had this epiphany of back when I was in high school, when I was actually pretty good at dating before I got married, like all the chicks that I hooked up with, it was because I went in for a kiss. You know, I like, that's what really sparked things. It's like, you're showing I have interest in you, and you're testing if she has reciprocal interest. It will tell you everything you need to know. The kiss test on a first date will tell you everything you need to know. It's the ultimate test of interest, right? So when you make that rule for yourself that no matter what, no matter if she's giving you the, like, you read these dating books and they'll say, oh, a girl's ready to be kissed when she's like brushing her hair back, or, you know, if she's making the triangle thing, or she's looking from, you know, one eye to the other down to your lips, if she's doing that kind of shit, that means she wants to be like, a lot of women aren't doing that kind of shit, right? Like a lot of women are just as nervous on a first date as you are. You know what I mean? And so you'll find that a lot of women aren't doing these fucking obvious body language signs, but they still like you. Right. And so I decided at that moment, this was even before I even read like Corey Wayne and all that stuff. It was like, okay, if I like this chick, I'm going for a kiss no matter what. I don't give a shit. Right. But then you read Corey Wayne's book, How to Be the 3% Man. He says, oh, you have to go for a kiss. It's the ultimate test of interest. I was like, that's why it works. Okay. That's amazing. So one of like your jobs here out in the dating circuit, it's, you know, it's not to necessarily make something happen, right? It's to facilitate fun and fuck, test a woman's interest level, and test her ability to follow your lead. Otherwise, like, that's all you're doing. You're not necessarily trying to make something happen. If something happens, awesome. If something doesn't, awesome, right? Like you've got your let going all attachments. Okay. So that's one thing that you'll find that sometimes when you go for that kiss, she's not going to be interested, right? And what I found was, because a lot of guys are like, oh, that's how you get a rape charges or sexual assault allegation. No, it's never happened. It's never happened to me. When women go out on a date with men, they typically expect a kiss. Okay. You're not grabbing her tits. You're not grabbing her ass or her pussy and all this kind of shit. You're going for a kiss. It's relatively innocent. Okay. So relax. Stop being so scared of all this bullshit you see online. It's largely nonsense. Okay. So when you go for a kiss, it'll tell you everything you need to know. And sometimes, like when I did that, it worked out 99.99% of the time. Like a vast majority of the chicks loved that I was bold enough to go for a kiss, right? There was like 2 chicks in the entire time I was out spinning plates that weren't that interested. One chick, actually, I would say 3, right? One chick like give me a cheek, right? Okay, cool. And if a chick goes to give you a cheek, give her the cheek, don't kiss her on the cheek. Just back off. She's not interested. I'll be like, oh, okay, all right. Then don't fucking call her again. No big deal. Right? It doesn't say anything about you. She's just not interested. Some people like pepperoni pizza. Some people like pineapple pizza, right? You're just not her slice of pizza. Who fucking cares? Okay. I had a chick where I went in and she still kissed me, but she goes, oh, we're doing this now. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And didn't call her again, right? And then the other chick was during COVID, and I went to go for a kiss, and she goes, "Oh no, like not on the first date." And I was like, "No, okay." Never fucking called her again. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All the other chicks fucking loved it, right? Like the nurse chick melted in my arms. She was just like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like, and here we are going on, 25 years later, we're still together. Just kidding. We're not. We're not 25 years yet. Inside joke between Nurse Chick and I. One thing too, a lot of guys think that shit tests, like women do this thing that we call them shit tests or frame checks. They think a lot of guys will take that as rejection, right? A woman will say something snarky or smart to them, right? And these guys take it bad and they get offended by it and they get all mad and tell her off, like, fuck you, bitch. How dare you? Like, what, you think you're better than me? Right? And they totally failed the test, right? A lot of times, like all women test men either consciously or subconsciously. And so you got to learn how to handle it. I saw one on X today. It was a pretty common one. It's one of those faceless masculinity accounts from India or whatever. And they said, when you take a girl to a place and she says, oh, do you take all the girls to this place? How would you respond? Well, for something like that, like a lot of guys would start defending themselves, explaining, excusing. Oh, no, I know you're the only one, right? Or, they'll get all mad for being questioned for such a thing. If you just sort of playfully respond back to that, be like, well, only the cute ones. You've passed the test. You're not taking anything she says seriously, right? It's not rejection. A shit test is just an invitation for playful banter. I would love to have you guys look at shit tests that way. It's an invitation for playful banter. It's not for something. It's not something to get upset over. Okay. By the way, if you guys are getting value out of any of these episodes, do consider sending a super chat. This is my full-time job, and this show is supported by viewers like you. Thank you. So some of you guys have like serious approach and rejection anxiety. So there's 3 things here I'd like to invite you guys to try to get over that. Okay. 1, I'm going to call it a 10 for 10 challenge, right? Where you get rejected by 10 women in 10 days, right? 10 women a day for 10 days for a total of 100 rejections. Okay. So you have to literally walk up to a woman and ask for her number, 10 women a day for 10 days, or you can do 5 women a day for 20 days, however you want to do it, but you have to get 100 rejections. Okay. Your goal is to get rejected. All right. Now, why would we even do this? Okay. Because a lot of times you have rejection anxiety because you're afraid of it, right? You develop a story in your head and that story becomes fear, and that fear causes you to not act. So if you make rejection the goal, and then it doesn't matter. That's a win, right? When you walk up to a woman and ask for her number and she rejects you, boom, got one, right? It's a win. You're turning what would normally be a negative for you into a win. Okay. So if you get through 100 of those, you're going to be much better, because by the time you're done with 100 rejections, you're not going to be afraid of rejections anymore. You've gotten a ton of them, right? Um, which I'll talk to. I had one of my, legacy dating clients. He was really bad at level 3 testing, mainly because he was afraid of rejection. So I essentially had him do this. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Another good way that you can get over your fear of rejection is just start off with some baby steps, right? So just walk up and have outcome neutral interactions where you're not trying to get a phone number, you're not trying to get a date, right? You're not trying to get anything. It's basically level 1 or level 2 testing, okay, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Hold on one second. I had to sneeze there, man. That's crazy. It sneaks up on you. So you can walk up to a girl and just ask her opinion about something, right? Like maybe you're at a supermarket and you're in the produce section and you're looking at the cantaloupe display and you go, "Hey, how do you pick the right cantaloupes? I never know how to do that," right? Ask her opinion about something. Make a simple observation about something in your environment. Like, "Oh man, it's raining outside. It's crazy, isn't it?" Or like the weather out here in Colorado is nuts, right? We haven't had any snow since November. It's wild out here on the Western Slope. Share a quick comment and then exit, right? That's all you have to do. Okay. So it's basically small talk and then move on. So it's basically level 1 testing, move on. Okay. We'll talk about what the 3 levels of testing are here in a minute. Intentional disqualification. This is another thing to do. Okay. So this is more like level 2 testing where you're walking up to a woman and you're specifically looking for a reason to not ask her on a date or not ask her for a phone number. You're looking for a reason. "Oh, she's got a tattoo. Well, I would never." Right. "Oh, you're a Sagittarius. Oh, I would never." Right. You're looking for reasons to not go out with her. Okay. Because if you're doing that, you're already putting yourself in the buyer position. You're putting yourself in the hiring manager position. You're looking for a reason to disqualify her. Okay. If you do that, that'll completely get rid of your fear of rejection. By the way, if you also want to swap notes, because I talked about the importance of swapping notes. If you're on the dating circuit and you're struggling right now and you want to swap notes with other guys that are possibly working through what you're working through when it comes to dating, it's time to run with the wolves, brother. Bear Club? Not anymore.
Wolfpack, you fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. Too sweet. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just frame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Man, the chat is so quiet today. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Let's talk about testing for interest, right? Because like I said before, your only job when you're out dating is to test for interest, test a woman's ability to follow your lead, facilitate fun, and fuck. All right. So basically, when you're interacting with women, you want to keep it simple, especially when it comes to like approaching women or talking to women. It basically works the same way on dating apps too, though. But you have level 1 testing. Level 1 testing is simply getting a conversation started, right? So like I said, when you're trying to get over your approach anxiety, just asking a woman's opinion, making a simple observation, anything like that. You don't need a killer pickup line. The best pickup line in the world is hi. You know what I mean? It's such a simple pickup line. One thing I did learn from Corey Wayne, which is it's a great test of interest because that's what we're talking about, is to walk up and ask a woman for her name, but don't give her your name, right? So you walk up and you're like, oh, hey, ask her about the cantaloupes or whatever, and then say, by the way, I didn't catch your name. What's your name? Right? And she's like, oh, my name's Samantha. Oh, hey, nice to meet you, Samantha. Like, do you always shop here at Safeway, or are you more of a city market girl, right? Like whatever, if you ask a woman her name and she asks you what your name is back, it's a good sign of interest, right? But if a woman doesn't ask you for your name, don't give it. Don't give it. Just keep talking to her. If she still doesn't ask for your name by the end of the interaction, she probably isn't that interested. Okay. Excuse yourself and move on. Okay. But that's more, you'll find that out more in the level 2 testing. So level 1 testing is just getting conversation going, right? It's just, making observation, making a comment, any kind of thing to get her to talk to you. Level 2 testing, you naturally roll into, but that's where you banter and talk about whatever, get into some kind of conversation. And you only want to be in that conversation no more than, 10, 15 minutes max, right? You don't want to take up a lot of these women's time. And a lot of time when you approach a woman, she's immediately thinking like, oh God, how long am I gonna have to talk to this guy if I don't like him, right? So if you walk up to a girl and sort of keep open body language, like you got one foot pointing away this way, like you're just there for a few minutes, you give her a fake time constraint, like, hey, I only got a few seconds, I got to get back to shopping, but I wanted to ask you this, right? That usually breaks those walls down, and you can, go into level 1 testing. And then level 2 testing is, like I said, just banter back and forth. It's just normal conversation and chit chat, right? Level 3 testing is where you require something of her. And this is going to be when you're approaching a woman, when you're on a dating app. This is going to be your ultimate test of interest in that situation, right? Will she comply with me requiring something of her? Usually it's getting a number or setting a date on the spot. If I'm on dating apps, I set the date on the dating app, right? I wait for a segue after no more than 10, 15 messages and I find a segue and I set that definite date on the app. Okay. If she gives you a wishy-washy answer, a maybe or anything like that, she's not interested. Okay. If you go to ask a girl for her number and she doesn't want to give you her number, she's not interested. Okay. That's all you need to know. It's not a rejection. It's data. You're collecting data, right? It's level 3 testing. Okay. Well, she's not interested. Don't make a big deal out of it. Okay. Now I had, like I mentioned before, about, going out and intentionally getting rejected, right? I had a dating client who was really good at striking up conversations. He was good at approaching women in public and getting up to level 1 and 2 testing. And then he would bail. He would bail while things were good, right? And that's when things are good and you're at a high point. That's really when you want to ask for the number. You want to ask for a number or set the date at a high point in the conversation. Okay. He would get to a high point and then bail because he's like, it doesn't get any better than this. And he fucking leave. And I was like, what are you doing, man? And every month we'd come together and he would always have an excuse and stuff. And I finally challenged him. I said, okay, I want you to go out and skip level 1 and 2 testing and just walk up to every chick and ask them for their number. Just lead with that. And he's like, oh, they won't give me their number. I go, that's the point. Like the point is to get you over this fear of asking for women's numbers, right? So I made him go around for an entire month, just straight up asking women for their numbers. Some women actually gave him his numbers and he was shocked by it. He was like, what the fuck, dude? But most, a lot of women rejected him, but he got over that shit, right? He finally got over that shit. Now he's in a wonderful relationship with a chick that just fucking worships him. It's actually quite funny because he met this chick and then, we had like maybe a couple more sessions together. And then he's like, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I got my money in order. I got a woman now. Good times. Love that shit. By the way, guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. One thing too, guys, repetition is the mother of skill. Okay. So the more you go out and do this kind of stuff, the more you practice this stuff, the more you swap notes with other guys, right? All that repetition is going to make you better at dating. It's going to make you really good at it. If you ever like follow guys online that, they're teaching dating and all this kind of stuff, it's because they went out and they fucking went out and tried this shit. They went out and tried it and they tested it out and they found what worked for them and they got good at it, right? Well, that only happens. It's just like anything else in life, any other kind of skill you want to learn. If you want to get really good at computer programming, you got to practice, writing code for a long time. You know what I mean? That repetition builds skills, right? It builds muscle memory and stuff like that. So repetition is the mother of skill. You want to go out and practice this as much as possible. This is why spinning plates will make you a better dater. Even if your goal is to be in a long-term relationship, or I don't know why, marriage, right? If that's your goal, spinning plates will help you find better women and, not just settle with the first woman that's somewhat nice to you. And you'll actually get better at this shit, right? You'll get really good at this, right? But rejection, it sharpens your skills, right? A lot of men, they give up after one rejection. Okay. Well, the thing is like, if you go out and you try something once and it doesn't work for you, and then you just fucking give up, you're not being a good scientist. Okay. That's a sample size of one, and not a single science experiment in the world uses a sample size of one. Okay. It's not a good sample size to go, oh, well, this doesn't work. I tried that technique that Paul talked about. That didn't work with one chick. You know what I mean? Like that's a sample size of one. You can't, that's not a good enough sample size. Okay. Now, if you go up and you try some of the stuff out, that I talk about in Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, you go and try that kind of stuff out and you're getting rejected by every girl. Like you go out, you do this on 100 girls and you get rejected by all of them. Now it's time to reevaluate your approach, right? Now it's time to go, okay, maybe Paul's technique doesn't work and I need to go and look at Corey Wayne's book or Christopher Canwell's book or something, right? Or Mark Manson's book, whatever's in your holy trinity of dating books, okay? That's when you want to reevaluate your approach, but you don't want to just give up on the first rejection, okay? That's a sample size of one. That'll never work, okay? And this is also where being in a group like Wolfpack is helpful, because you can swap notes with other guys who go, oh, you know what? The reason why that probably didn't work for you is because you did X, Y, and Z instead of PD and Q. If you try PD and Q next time, right? Guys will give you feedback. Guys who have been there will give you feedback, right? So that's another good reason to do that. I only got a couple here more, and then we'll wrap up. But we talked about this at the beginning, but emotional detachment, it just absolutely improves dating, because you stop making things, you stop putting stories in your head, you stop worrying about rejection, you're just collecting data and having fun with it. That allows you to completely detach from the whole experiment or the whole experience. And what's really cool is once you get really good at detachment, once you're in a relationship, let's say that's your goal and you want to get into a relationship, and you keep that going into your relationship, you'll actually have a better relationship. When you let go of that attachment of trying to make something happen, you stop walking on eggshells, you stop trying to make her your best friend and shit, and trying to keep her happy at all costs, happy wife, happy life. You let go of all that kind of attachment and you take a step back and you stay lovingly detached in your relationship. That will allow you to keep a better eye on things, because you're not getting so emotionally involved in the weeds that you can't see everything around you. You're actually able to take a step back and keep an eye on your girl's attraction level, right? And I talk about it. I do talk about the attraction level and Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, but I talk about it more in Keep Your Bitch. But the attraction scale is important when you're in a long-term relationship, because you want to be able to gauge where your girl's at. And if you're managing that relationship as you should as the man, you've got to be able to keep an eye on that so that you keep her at a 9 or a 10 level as best as possible, so you don't end up in a dead bedroom situation and needing my, Get Her to Fuck You Again book. So let's talk about what better daters do differently. And this is more of a recap, right? Because we've talked about this, but better daters, they treat everything like a science experiment. They are outcome independent. When they go on dates, they're letting her do most of the top talking, right? A lot of you guys out there are like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say on a date. I don't know. But that's the beauty of it. You don't have to. Women love to talk. Just let them. Okay. All you have to do is have some go-to questions in your pocket. like open-ended go-to questions that you can get the ball rolling and get her running her mouth. And then you just need to pick little things out of what she's saying, make some assumptions, ask her more open-ended questions about that stuff, and just keep her talking. That's all you have to do. If you let her do most of the talking, you keep mystery alive because you're not saying anything about yourself, right? She's just runs her mouth and then she thinks you're the best communicator in the world because women love to talk, right? So just let her do most of the talking. They make her qualify herself to them. Okay. So stop trying to qualify to women. You want to be the interviewer. You want to be the, the hiring manager, and she's the prospect, right? They test for interest and they facilitate fun and fuck. That's what they do. That's what better daters do. The rest of you guys out there are frustrated because you're trying to make all this shit happen. You have an attachment to outcome, and that causes all this, fear of it, fear of rejection and approach anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And if you get rid of that and just reframe how you look at things, you're going to have a much better time and have more success on the dating market. Okay. And the real transformation comes when rejection stops being personal and dating stops being stressful, and you can actually start just having fun with it. Once you start enjoying it, dating is supposed to be fun, right? And if you are looking at it like it's a grind, you're looking at it the wrong way. You're doing it wrong. Okay. So you got to start having fun with it. It's a fun-filled opportunity for sex to happen. That's what dating is. It's a fun-filled opportunity for sex to happen. Okay. And if that hasn't been your experience, you got to change your mindset about it. Get my book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. It will change your world. All right. That's all I got for this episode, guys. I appreciate the guys that tuned in and sounded off in the chat. The rest of you lurkers, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in you guys. But tune into the podcast on Friday. It will be story time with Paul Bebe again. I got a lot of good feedback from Friday's episode for the guys that listened to it. Frame Fridays are the most important episodes of the week because when you work on what's up here, everything else in your life falls into place. Okay. But most of you guys are only here because you want some pussy and you're like, what? I don't want to talk about my mindset. That's terrible. Like, it's boring. This boring shit, right? Subconscious mind. What? That's boring shit. So you don't tune into that stuff, okay? But that's the most important episodes. Of the guys that tuned in, I got a lot of really good feedback from my reading of The Stranger's Secret last week. So I thought I'd read you guys another really short book. This one was published in 1926 by a man going by RHJ, and it's called It Works. That's it. It Works. It's very short. It's about a 15-minute read. So when I add my commentary in it, it's not going to take up an hour and a half. My business coach gave me a copy of it when I went to Toronto last year. And I think I gave my copy to Nurse Chick. I don't know what she did with it, but it's really short. It's really good. I think you guys are going to enjoy that episode. So tune into that. But that's all I got for this episode, guys. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. So we will see you guys on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.